Hi everybody,
You are?
I'm Mitchell Stavovi, a recovering addict.
I'm Anna Stavovi as well, a wife of an addict in recovery. We are going to do our second part now. We did a interview style just about 2 days ago where Mitchell asked me questions, and a lot of people really like that, and we thank you guys for sending in additional questions to that. But now we're going to do the second part where I am going to ask questions to Mitchell about his addiction and his recovery. You having fun playing with your hair?
Yeah, it is cool. So light.
And Chris's hair didn't have a relapse. It was just something we did together. All right, so Mitchell, first question. When did you first try drugs and alcohol, and when did it become part of routine and seem okay?
Well, I probably drank around 14, and smoking cigarettes, and that was just like weekend stuff, and then marijuana and other drugs came shortly after that. It was pretty social for a couple years. Probably through high school it was pretty social. I mean, I probably did it more than I should have. But I just felt like it was normal, you know. So I really didn't think anything too much of it at that point.
Okay. Were there any people in your life at that age that held boundaries with you?
Not too many. I would say my dad was really trying to get me back on the right track. You know, my whole family was probably concerned, but I really wasn't held accountable, you know. I mean, I lied my way out of most things back then, so wasn't too many.
Like what?
What?
Like what did you lie yourself out of?
Oh, just like stealing money, or you know, being where I wasn't supposed to be, you know, having drugs on me or in the house, just stuff like that.
Okay.
Just lie to cover everything up.
When you were younger, why did you think you started using drugs?
Well, when I was like 17, I think I went to rehab, an outpatient, and they had asked me why I started using drugs, and I told them I didn't have a reason. You know, I just wanted to use them. You know, I always asked. Once I drank and smoked, I was interested in marijuana, and then you know, smoked it, and then just other drugs presented themselves to us, well, to me, yeah, I really didn't think I had any reason why I used, other than it made me feel good. It made me feel kind of accepted. You know, it took away my social anxiety and stuff, so I was really like, you know, felt like the life of the party and stuff like that. So I really didn't think I had a problem. I didn't really think I had a reason to use.
And now that you know more about addiction, why did you start using drugs?
Well, so I found out that I really had a lot of trauma tied to school and fitting in. I really, from a young age, probably like first grade, just spelling and stuff, like I really didn't learn. No matter how hard I tried to spell things, I really couldn't spell them, and teachers always went above and beyond to help me. My parents went above and beyond to help me, and I think from a young age in first grade, you know, getting maybe laughed at, or even if kids weren't laughing at me, the few instances that people were laughing, like if I was trying to read something or spell something, so when they laughed or I felt out of place, I from like then on started seeing all this laughter like that would happen in a classroom or anything like that. I directed it towards myself, and it just kept on piling on that I wasn't good enough or that I wasn't smart enough, and I never was going to get it. And so like teachers even helping me out, and like being in other class, like special reading classes, or get more time on tests, like that is great. But as a child, I took that as I wasn't good enough and that I was separate from people. And I would really try to learn how to spell. Like I would say words into a tape recorder with my voice. I would listen to them, I would write them down, I would listen to them, and I would still fail tests. And I just always felt not good enough. And that now I know that I don't have to carry that burden, because everybody learns differently. I have a little bit of dyslexia, word retrieval skills. Like I'm more hands-on learner. So reading in books and stuff like that, like I love to read now, but I do read slower, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I learned that everybody learns on their own pace, but I just kept on beating myself down for years. So I was 6 years old then. You go fast forward 10 years, and like I didn't feel out of place using drugs, because everybody who used with me or around me, or if I was at parties using, like it brought us all to the same level, and I didn't feel out of place because we were all kind of high or drunk or messed up or whatever. And I don't know, it was like a comfort. So I mean, it was a lot of stuff like that, just not fitting in, feeling inadequate, just not feeling good enough.
So is it safe to say that a lot of it was self-worth?
100%. It was self-worth, and I was judging myself on how I thought others viewed me, and that is all kind of crazy. I think a lot of people might do this, but it's like other people's expectations of you, or how other people react around you, is how you perceive yourself at a young age, I think. And I always carried that, I wasn't as good as people, or people were laughing at me, and I always carried that with me. And I found out I even carried it till I was in rehab these last couple times. I mean, I had a really big breakthrough this last time out there, probably like 6 months ago, and that I still carry a lot of that shame and negative self-talk, low self-worth, low self-esteem. And I carry that because inside of us is our child. Anyways, our inner child is still in there, and it's still our brain, and it's still the same person. You know what I mean? Even though you age, like, you don't feel old. I don't think as we get older, no one feels the age they are. And I was still carrying stuff from 6 years old. So tackling that was a key point to recovery, getting it this time.
Why do you think rehab didn't work when you were younger?
Because I didn't think I had a problem. So I went while I was gonna get kicked out of the house. So I went to a gateway up in Waterdam Plaza, and it was a outpatient 3 days a week. And like I said, I didn't think I had a problem. I thought every teenager used alcohol and marijuana at least. I mean, I had used every drug under the sun at that point, but it wasn't all the time. But I was just, I wasn't ready to stop. I didn't think I had a problem, and I cheated my way through that the whole time anyways.
Gotcha. And hi, Jill. Glad you're on. What went through your mind when you lied and stole from the people you love?
Really, I was just thinking about the money. I was thinking about the money and getting money for drugs. I always worked, and I would use all my money for drugs and alcohol, and then if I needed something, I would take it. And I think I learned at a young age that when I took stuff, I never got really reprimanded. And that's not any authority figure in my life's fault. It's me, because I manipulated all those situations. The people in my life, my close family and relatives, they love me, and they want to give me the benefit of the doubt. And obviously you don't want your son or brother or nephew or whatever you don't want to believe that they're stealing from you. And it's a shame that in my youth I'd steal from family and people that are close from me rather than strangers. You know what I mean? And I think I think the addict learned from a young age that he could steal and take what he wanted. And yeah, people would call him out, but I wouldn't change. I'd still hold on to my lie. I'd say I didn't do it until I was blue in the face, and then people would just really give up, and they'd be like, okay, you know what I mean? And then I'd just do it over and over and over again.
Well, that actually leads me to, so, you know, you told me basically that the addict, when you're stealing this stuff, it doesn't really care. Is there a point where Mitchell kind of came back into play, and were there any times that you did feel it, and you did feel shame?
I mean, I always felt bad for taking money or alcohol or whatever, and I always felt bad about doing it, but that feeling never outweighed the want for more drugs. You know, no. I mean, it's sad to say, but you know, when I was doing it, I just didn't feel like it was that bad.
So was it
now being sober, I realize that like that is terrible, and like if I have something go missing, like I am like, you know, I really worked for that, and I really am ashamed of all the stuff that I have done through my addiction, you know, with money I took and people I lied to.
So is it safe to say that, you know, how we learn to separate the addiction with the true self? Is it safe to say that when you were stealing the money, there still was this constant battle within you, but the addict was winning?
It's hard to say, because I think maybe in the last couple years, but before that, like, not really. I mean, I think the addict was pretty present for 20 years.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And I just didn't know. I never, even as a young child, I never even thought I had a conscience, because I used to love to lie. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there was really a battle, you know. And I think that's why addiction raged in me, at least, because there wasn't that battle between right and wrong. And I think I've learned right and wrong with self-worth. So I think not having self-worth and negative self-talk has really kind of hindered my conscience of right and wrong. So now being clean for 7 months and being in and out of recovery for about 18, 19 months, you know, I know what right and wrong is. I know what integrity is, and that's just something I want to live by now.
So people placing accountability and boundaries on you really did help?
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
So getting a little personal here. So after your second relapse, after you crashed the truck and you were in the hospital and the doctor looked at you and said you had to get back into your program because you were drunk, why did, even into the next day, you still state to me that you did not drink?
Yeah, as well, so for one, I kind of woke up in the hospital. I had been drinking all day, and I was supposed to be at work. I was drinking all day. I went to my house to steal some Adderall or Ritalin, and there was none there, so I took 2 Ambien, and I crashed the truck about 2 miles from my house and right on my parents' driveway. I kind of came to in the hospital. They had told me that I passed a breathalyzer or something, and I just went with it. Like, the addict was just going with it, like, okay, I passed the breathalyzer, so I'm not drunk. I was kind of out of it, but once I started saying that I wasn't, I kind of convinced myself that I wasn't doing anything wrong right when I woke up in the hospital. But shortly after that, by the time you got to the hospital and my whole family was there and the doctor came in and told me that, I was just holding on to my lie, you know. So I think shame had a lot to do with it, but I think really I wanted you guys to believe me so I could continue using.
And then Laura stepped in.
Yeah.
And broke those walls down. Let's see. Can you describe one of your lowest moments?
Well, a couple. I mean, a really low one that has happened a couple times was, you know, really really having everybody in my life not believing me, doubting everything I was doing, really scared to bring things up around me because I would lash out, wanting to quit. This is before any rehab, but wanting to quit and not being able to. I know multiple occasions I would be crying on my way to the dealer's house to pick up, and as soon as I could go pick up, the tears would go away and I would instantly be using in the truck, and then I would be high and tearing up and saying, why can't I quit? Why can't I quit? I mean, it was pretty low, and like another time I hit my knees in my backyard and just asked why me, why can't I quit this? But it's kind of messed up how quickly that changes into you want to get more. I would say the lowest point I had was before I went to rehab this last time. Anna held a boundary and moved up to Massachusetts, and I was kind of never thinking she was actually leaving. I really convinced myself, or the addict was convinced, that since every other time I've been welcome back, that I could just put a roof on a house and come back up.
That's why you hold boundaries.
Yeah, because, all the other times it was always okay afterwards. And then when it was okay, I would be back, maybe because I wouldn't use for a couple days or something. And I would think things are okay, not knowing the damage I caused in my use. But, yeah, so she was up in Mass. I was just sitting at the house not taking care of myself. I was staying up all night and sleeping all day. I might have been up for 3 or 4 days. I wasn't taking care of my animals. My cousin was actually there, and I mean Anna's cousin, my cousin now.
Yeah.
He was there and was telling Anna that I wasn't really coming out of the room. I had talked to Anna a couple times, and I think I was kind of starting to really get scared. Mitchell was starting to get scared of what the addict was possibly going to do. I couldn't get any more money. I had stolen from everybody, and I couldn't steal anything else. And there have been times in my life when I was depressed, and I had contemplated ending my life, but I've never really wanted to. But I've had the thoughts in my head, and I would have to say, sitting on the couch one of those last days when Anna moved away, and was actually like I was definitely mulling it over in my head that I would probably be better off if I was just dead, and that Anna would be in less pain, I would be in less pain, my family wouldn't have to worry about me, I wouldn't be a burden on the world, and it never went further than that. I think I passed out because I was drinking, and my family had come over to check on me, and I think that gave me a little bit of hope that people did care. And 3 or 4 days after that, I went back to rehab with the help of you, booking me a ticket.
And Laura. And Steve.
And Steve. And Chris.
Did you ever tell yourself you knew you needed to stop?
Yes. Hundreds of times.
When did you realize you were an addict?
Oh man, I mean, I had hints of it whenever I was younger. Really not knowing. I mean, you know what? Whenever I was in treatment when I was 17, so 21 years ago. Yeah, about 20 years ago. I always called myself an addict because when they described addiction to me, it was unable to stop. Mm-hmm. And I knew, even from the first time I drank alcohol, I wasn't able to stop. Like, I had never drank a drink or two and quit. It's always been either when I blacked out, when I got sick early, or when everything ran out. And then as I got older, when everything ran out, I just got more drugs. And I'd get more drugs, and I'd stay up and stay up and stay up. So, I always had a notion that I was different because I would always see friends stop, and I would continue for days. And I knew for sure after my last DUI, whenever I quit drinking and I told myself I'm not going to drink anymore, so I'm just going to do cocaine. That's a pretty bad exchange, but so I got into that real bad again. So right around that time, about 3 or 4 years ago, I knew I was severely addicted and couldn't quit on my own.
When did you take the first steps towards recovery?
About 20 months ago, 19 months ago, I think, maybe 20 months ago. I don't really remember how it started. You can refresh my memory on that, because I remember wanting to tell you something, but I wanted a night to sleep on it. I don't really remember the events the week prior, but it was probably really crappy. But that was one of those moments where I was dropping to my knees in the backyard because I couldn't quit using cocaine. I was using coke to stay up, and I was drinking to go to sleep, taking any kind of pills I could, and pretty much regulating myself. And there might have been a time there where I was up for like 7 days in a row, and was really fearing for my life, I think. But when did I start? When did I start to go in? Like, before I announced that I wanted to go to rehab?
It was leading up to money was missing, my Ritalin was missing, alcohol was missing from your parents' house, and we got into a huge fight because of drinking again. And I remember, I will let you guys know this though, just kind of came to the realization of that. That was the first time I think I started, which is a good thing, detaching from Mitchell with love, and in a sense because I knew the addict was there, but really couldn't say it the way that I just said it to you, because I remember being very, very angry with him, but knowing that deep down, anger never changed anything before. So I remember going to Mitchell to, in a sense, ask him what he was going to do. And that's when I went to him and I said, Mitchell, do you want to tell me what's going on and what's wrong? And instead of me going, you need to do this, you need to do this. And that's when Mitchell said to me, can I please take a night to think about it? And I said yes. And
I didn't even see a rehab at that time either.
Yeah, I
just said I wanted to tell you something.
Yeah.
Something.
And that was the thing is, though, you came to me the next morning and said, I want to go to rehab. And I remember just utterly breaking down, just crying, because it was the first, like, to me, that was like music to my ears, because it was almost like, here it is. Here's that hope. Here's finally, that hope that I just needed, you know? But I will tell you, though, I didn't really come to this realization till now. That moment when he chose to go to rehab, I detached with love. I didn't tell him what he needed to do, and I didn't have anger towards him because those things never worked in the past. I let Mitchell start his own recovery. I never realized that, because every time before it was like, you got to do this, you got to do this, and it's because, you know, you want to protect yourself, and that's absolutely understandable. But I think that was the first time I realized it. So I kind of want to just tell you guys out there that detaching with love and really letting go help that, so Mitchell could really start his own journey.
Yeah, I think it's more like, if
was it
you have to,
Janelle
said, if the other if someone in your life can do something for themselves, they need to do it for themselves, and you can cheer them on and love them from a distance. You know, doesn't have to be a physical distance, but it can be just at an emotional distance from them. I think, you know, you can love them and support them, but, you know, Anna holding my hand and being concerned about me getting up for work, or, you know, being concerned about, you know, if I'm taking alcohol from my parents' house, like, let everybody who I'm affecting deal with it on their own.
Yes.
And she can take care of herself while I am going to seek my own help.
And what that means when he says let them deal with it on their own Not meaning we still, as a family, as friends, come together and support one another. Families and friends of addicts, absolutely. But what he means is, if someone was to come to me and say, hey, there was alcohol missing in the house, what I would do, which is codependent, and didn't realize this in the past, is they were nervous to confront Mitchell, so they would tell me, and then I would go confront Mitchell. But the truth is, if I'm always the one person doing that, it almost doesn't seem like there's an army rallying around.
Right, and the addict never gets the message that everybody's angry.
Yes, or hurt.
I only get the message that Anna knows all this stuff, so I'm going to keep lying to Anna, and I can still keep taking from my family.
Yep.
You know? So I would advise everybody to really lay down some boundaries. You know, anybody who's involved with an addict or an alcoholic or someone with an eating disorder or any kind of issue you're working on, whatever fight you're fighting, you know, you just everybody needs to be firm and caring and loving, and stand up for yourself. Hold your boundary. I mean, that's respect.
And Janelle, really, when you ask that question, what does the detaching of love means? Like, for me, it really was what I did this last time. I love Mitchell, but when you really realize that the addict is there and really prevalent, and that seems like the only being that's there, and the one you love is pushed far down behind, it basically, I knew for my own sanity, for my own care, needed to detach. So I didn't scream and yell at Mitchell. I didn't tell him all these, really, like, with anger busting. What I did was I wrote down 2 letters to him, one to Mitchell and one to the addict. And I was going to ask Mitchell, actually, if one day it would be okay to share those letters on here so people could see what they look like. But what it was basically telling Mitchell when I first left, I didn't want the marriage to end. But I wanted him to get help, but it doesn't matter what I really want. But I knew, though, the key to it is I knew the addict was there, and I knew I needed to save myself. So detaching was love, was going, Mitchell, I love you, but I can't be here to watch you self-destruct. Mm-hmm. And that's when you detach with them with love. And if they fall, they fall, but they need to fall on their own so they can pick themselves up. Let's see, where were we? We did say, when did you take the first set? So what was missing the first 2 times after rehab in your recovery that led to relapse?
Shade. What's that?
Okay. What was missing the first 2 times after rehab in your recovery that led to relapse?
Well, to be honest, I didn't work on my self-worth. I didn't have faith in a higher power. I kind of went through the motions. I learned a ton my first 2 times in rehab. A lot about addiction, a lot about myself, a lot about my behaviors, a lot about retraining the neural pathways in my brain to heal, a lot about self-worth and self-esteem. But I never separated me from the addiction. So anytime that anybody had tried to get some resolve or some
Answers?
Not some answers, but some resentments out towards me, I would defend it. I would defend it like they were attacking me. And I think in doing that, it still made anger inside of me. And that kind of kept me from healing and forgiving. This sun's getting crazy. So I didn't work the steps. I didn't have a sponsor. This way. Oops, come this way some.
You want to go right over here?
No, it'll be alright.
It's going to go down in a second underneath this tree.
So I just went to meetings. I went to a ton of meetings, but I didn't get a sponsor. I didn't work the steps. In working the steps, you find out a bunch of your character defaults, and everybody has them. There's stuff that have been tripping you up your whole life. There's things in your life that make you act certain ways, and I just tackled those this last time. But I went back to the same town, which is toxic for me. I did the same job. I just didn't change enough. I don't think I changed enough. You know, and whenever they say you need to change everything, you need to change everything. I mean, I know that's not possible all the times, but you need to at least change your attitude. You need to forgive yourself. And I never forgave myself for the things I've done. And just because I forgive myself for the things I've done doesn't mean that I'm not making amends for all those things. By forgiving myself, I can move forward and make amends for those things.
And is it okay if I say one that I think that you really worked on for sure?
Yeah.
Reaching out.
Reaching out.
Was it hard for you the first few times?
Yeah, I mean,
Is it still?
I don't reach out too much, but I do. I stay in contact with everybody. You know, reaching out really stems back to my childhood. You know, never asking questions, trying to fly under the radar because of my self-worth, because of my low self-esteem, and because of feeling inadequate. You know, I never raised my hand in class. I always sat in the back of the classroom. I wanted to fly under the radar. That's why I loved drugs and alcohol, because I would fit in with people that were using. So reaching out was a hard one. You know, it's hard to reach out whenever you want help. Now I do realize that the strongest people in this world have help. No one does it on their own. You know, the best CEOs have a big team under them. Mm-hmm. You know, countries are run by teams of people. Everything is run with. There's not one person that does everything in life by themselves. And yes, that's a good point. Reaching out is a key component. Connection, reaching out.
And Jill, you're doing a good job at taking care of yourself and detaching with love right now. I'm very, very proud of you. Do you believe relapses are a part of recovery?
I believe they don't have to be, but you know, that I have relapsed. You know, I think if you relapse and learn from it, it's a key component to recovery. I think if you relapse and don't learn from it and beat yourself up, which is going to happen, there's going to be a mourning period. I mean, you know, there's a saying that I'm assuming most people have in rehab is rehab really messes up, you know, your drug of choice, because once you get a head full of rehab, it's, you know, you feel so crappy if you use. You know, and I think, you know, relapse taught me a lot. Relapse taught me that I really don't like drugs and alcohol. I really don't like who I am. I think it's just a learning opportunity, you know? Mm-hmm. I think it's a stumbling block, and that's it. Another person in Alpine always likes to say, you know, when your car breaks down, say you're driving across country, and you're going from New York to California, you leave New York, you get to Ohio, and your car breaks down, you don't go back to New York to fix it. You just get the tools you've learned, you try to work on it on the road. If you need a little help, you go to a garage in Ohio, and you keep on trekking towards California. You know, there's no reason you're going to go back to square one. You have a lot of time in recovery. You know, there's many people that I know that have 20 plus years of recovery, and they've messed up and they get back on it. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, there's no telling. I mean, anybody, you might say you don't want to eat chocolate or sweets, and then do that for 10 years, and you might feast on sweets, you know, every once in a while or whatever like that. But it's not saying that you're compulsively going to do this forever. So I think it's just a good opportunity to learn.
What do you think were some of the key differences this time, and why recovery stuck?
Well, I think the biggest thing of getting me into recovery this time was Anna holding a boundary. Once I got clean, about 2 weeks into my treatment this time, when I talked to Anna one time, I said, I want to let you know how proud I am of you for holding a boundary, for packing your crap up and leaving, because I would have kept on manipulating and using and deteriorating, and she wouldn't have been able to handle too much more. I wasn't able to handle too much more. My family wouldn't have been able to handle too much more. You can only take so much without giving back, and without without Anna being the strong woman she is and really caring about herself and really caring about me, and packing her stuff up and leaving, that really showed me that she cares about her, and that really made me realize that I care about myself. And once I started caring about myself and took care of myself for a little bit of time, I realized what I was about to lose. So a firm, hard boundary, detaching with love, taking care of people in my life, taking care of themselves, calling me out, was the first step. And then once I was in rehab, I would say the day that you realized that you were putting up blocks to me 10 years ago, whenever I would drink, really showed me that I was starting to defend some of the actions I did, and I was blacked out for most of that, anytime I did something bad, like 10 years ago. And I realized that I was defending myself. And after that session, I remember having another session with somebody else, and Anna realized that she was putting up blocks, and it was blocking Mitchell and the addict. And neither of us realized that till this last trip to Alpine, Utah. And once she realized that, I kind of had this thing in my head. I'm like, well, why am I defending the actions of drunk Mitchell? And I know that's me. I'm not trying to get out of any of that, because I did all these things. But I realized that I shouldn't be defending that. Sober Mitchell is appalled at making you feel not good enough, not worthy, second guess yourself, having to deal with someone lying, always questioning things like, you do not deserve that and I should not defend that. So really seeing that I was defending myself let me know that I can separate it. I can say, this is past me. I don't even have to say the addict and Mitchell. I can say the past me from me today, because if I live in the past, I can't move forward. So in actually doing that and seeing that work, and me and Anna both realizing that we could separate the past, or the evil and the good, or however you want to put it, the addict from Mitchell, that, and seeing that work, that developed into faith for me, because I always cringed kind of with the whenever I would say God, or like Jesus, or whatever your higher power is. It doesn't matter what you believe it is. Or I started to believe that there was something, because if I could forgive and separate some bad things that I've done with who I really am, then that's faith. And then I started having faith in a higher power, and that is really what motivated me into dealing with self-worth, self-esteem, connection. I started tackling my inner child, working through some of my inadequacies that I perceived were, that aren't, that are strengths, really. So I think all those combined is what's different this time. I work the steps. I have a sponsor. I can sponsor people now. Fellowship in and out of 12-step programs, or church, staying connected and helping people.
Outpatient at a lot of...
Yeah, IOP, intensive outpatient, helped a lot too, because that, so before I would just do inpatient, and I would leave and come back to the same toxic environment. This time I got out of inpatient. I did almost 100 days of intensive outpatient, and that was getting a job, going to a bunch of meetings a day with other people in outpatient, talking about real life outside of inpatient rehab things. So in the inpatient, it's more house rules, everything in the house,
very structured.
Very structured. Outpatient was definitely key to me this time, because it gave you a little bit more freedom by making it freedom, but you were still made accountable with drug tests, and you still had therapy sessions, and and that's another thing, is staying connected with a therapist, your doctor, and all those things. Just staying on top of really feeling healthy inside and out, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and just doing it.
And because Carol asked a question, she asked, curious how long you were separated and what brought you back together, or were you always in contact, and how to trust one more time. So this actually leads into someone that did actually send the same thing earlier. Carol, I came up here to Massachusetts from Pennsylvania, and we were probably separated for about 3 weeks.
Yeah, mid-October she came up.
Yeah, so for about 3 weeks, and I actually did stay in contact with him in the beginning, but then there came a point in time, maybe about a week afterwards to 2 weeks, I started realizing that it was straight Attic that was just calling and talking to me. It was not Mitchell, and that's honestly when I stopped contacting him, and truthfully, that his contact with me started to go down, because he had more free time really to do what he wanted. I wasn't calling. There was Mitchell and I used to always talk. We would always talk. There would never go a day by where we didn't speak. We had a long distance relationship before we got married for over 3 years. We always spoke.
And like 10 years.
48 hours basically went by without us speaking. And that's when I knew that my husband was no longer there, and the contact stopped from my side and really from his side as well. And then that's where things really started to go into motion. That was straight detaching from love for me. And that's honestly when I really knew that the marriage was over. In my mind, the marriage was done.
If the attic
was raging. And truthfully, but here's the thing, Mitchell, the attic was raging. So in my mind, I told myself I knew this marriage was done. It was over. And those last few days, there was a lot of pain coming to acceptance of it. But once I came to acceptance of it, it actually was very calming. I felt very serene, to be honest. And I had all the strength in the world to talk back to that addict. And that's what came from those last, that last few days was straight telling Mitchell, like I said before in the last video, it was, if I give you this money, Mitchell, I'm walking out of this marriage. And there was no conflict in me anymore. That decision was there right then and there. If he asked for the money, I was done. There was no marriage.
And that's the strength.
And that was the thing. And I want the families and friends of addicts to know also, when Mitchell was talking about when he was in rehab and he was later said, thank you for holding that boundary, Anna. That night and that day, though, I remember even asking him, because I could sense in his voice, you're mad at me, aren't you? And he said, yeah, I am. He was angry and he was mad at me, but it was the addict. He was angry and he was pissed at me because I held that boundary. And because it was kind of like when he said, I do want to go back to rehab, I was like, all right. I called up the clinical director over at Alpine Recovery Lodge again. She was all ready and going, all right, he can come back. I booked him a ticket.
6 a.m. the next morning.
6 a.m. that morning. So he told me that night at 8 he wanted to go back to rehab. And I said, Mitchell, if you're serious, there's a ticket for you at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's your choice.
There was a battle going on with me right then. I mean, I was sad. I was depressed. I was angry. I'll go. I don't want to go. I'll go. I don't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the addict's last stand in my head.
Yep.
It was the addict and myself knowing that I needed help and wanted help, just battling for who's going to win.
Yep. And so when I bought that ticket, really it was still, it's your choice. I bought this ticket, and again, I'm going to be absolutely honest. If Mitchell didn't go on that flight that day, we would not be sitting here. It 100% can tell you that with honesty, we would not be sitting there. No. But Mitchell took that chance again because he decided he wanted to live for himself and he wanted to fight for himself, and that's when he went to rehab. And that's, in my mind, a huge thing that changed from all the previous times. I think Mitchell was doing it for family, for friends, for our relationship. And then this time it was, everyone's leaving me, I'm doing this for me.
Yeah, I remember sitting there and saying to myself that night, I said, it wasn't even that night, it was the day before or something like that. I think whenever I was like really contemplating taking my life. And I was like, you know what, if Anna leaves me, like, I want to be here. I want this world. And I think that was the first time in 11 years I actually was like, okay, like, there's a possibility that she's going to leave me. Do you really want to sit here and rot away to nothing and amount to nothing and have people in your life not trust you, not have integrity? I already had low self-worth and self-esteem, but thinking about not having the love of your life by your side and and just going through the motions with no one, you know, it really got to me. You know, I really knew that I wanted to live, and I really knew that I wanted to be a productive member of society, you know. Yeah, it's just.
And the other part of your question is, how do you trust again? Consistency over time. What was the thing that Alpine used to say, that Laura used to always say? She said, you can't talk your way out of something you acted your way into.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the truth. It took time. It took consistency over time. When things would happen again that usually would happen in the past, that a lie would be there, and it was honesty. Slowly trust would gain up, and truthfully, trust came in a lot quicker when I worked my own program and worked on those resentments, worked on my own self-worth. And that's because I also saw Mitchell really working his own recovery.
And yeah, and I think that's key, because I stayed an inpatient, and I was doing the things I said I was doing.
Yes. Big difference.
And there wasn't a lot of Anna saying, I need to see this from you. And there wasn't a lot of me asking her what she needs to see from me. There was a lot of me doing stuff for me, and there was a lot of Anna doing stuff for Anna. And it just so happened that they both synced up. You know, they both synced up to what we needed from each other, and it's what we were already doing. And I think that comes over a lot of time of working on yourselves. It takes the 19 months that we've been learning about ourselves.
Keep going, I just want to know who
and
said it.
You know, I think the other 2 times getting out of rehab, I mean, there was a lot of things I said I was gonna do, and that was the talking my way out of stuff I acted my way into, because then I started manipulating what I said I was gonna do, or changing things I said. This time it was more, Anna was like, you know, whatever you're gonna do for your recovery, you're gonna do for your recovery. You know, she doesn't have to like it, or she can really love it. But if I feel confident in it and she feels confident in it, then as long as I am putting forth effort and I'm doing what I'm saying, like I did 60 days in Alpine, and then I did over 100 days in I Am Recovery. And so, you know, originally I was going to do 3 months, would love to see 4 months out there. I did 5.5 months out there. Mm-hmm. You know, that right there shows that I was dedicated to that. Because I wasn't just like, let me get home. The other times I was like, I got this. Let me out of inpatient. I can go home. I have this strict schedule. That does not work for me anyways. Like I really loved being in recovery. I wanted to stay out there, you know. I mean, we probably could have stayed out there for a whole year, you know, but we felt like we were far enough along to move back east and put down some roots and do this. Like we felt ready. My support felt I was ready. Anna felt I was ready. My sponsor, therapists, you know, my family. We had this whole big team behind us, you know. And I run everything nowadays by my support network. And if they agree that it's a good move, I do it.
And Carol, the truth is too, I remember really when Mitchell was day 1 in rehab, I can't even tell you, there was no trust. Like, not even one little piece of trust left for Mitchell before he went in. And I remember really, I could say that Mitchell could say the sky was blue, and I'd be like, he's lying to you. It's not blue, it's cloudy day. Like, that's how much. And now I trust Mitchell again. And so it's okay though, because there are going to be times that come up that are going to scare you and make you nervous. And that's when I would suggest that you talk with them. Once you talk with them and you tell them your concerns, they can take it or they can leave it. And there's things still that happen with Mitchell, especially in the beginning. I remember the first night he was out of was it rehab? Yeah, it was first night out of rehab. All Mitchell did was get out of bed and eat a granola bar. And my mind went straight to, he's doing something. And that night, I didn't talk to him because I went right back to sleep afterwards. But I told him in the morning what that was, because, if I would have kept that inside me, I would have never gained trust there. But because I told Mitchell, hey, this is what went through my head, and this is where the trust issues were, and Mitchell listened to it and could talk about it, that's what helped it completely. He could validate my feelings, and then that's how trust gained through. And then Gianna, hi Gianna. Gianna asked, was it hard to tell your family about your addiction?
No, my family knew. that's something crazy that I remember about the first time I went to treatment was how whenever Anna said that when I told her I wanted to go to rehab, how happy she was that I finally am recognizing this. Well, for years and years and years, I thought I was pulling one over. I mean, in the depths of my addiction when I was really bad, I thought I was pulling one over on everybody and that no one knew. And I remember telling my family, and they were like, "Oh, good." Like they were so aware of how bad I was, you know, that they weren't surprised one bit, and they were just happy that I was doing it. I mean, obviously they wanted me to get help since I was younger.
Love you too, Danielle.
But you know, I moved away for a long time, and I you know, I mean, I wasn't always way unmanageable with my addiction. I always did use too much. It did always interfere with my life. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't making me happy, and I did use it to numb, which later I found out was a lot of self-worth issues and, you know, scared little child issues. And, you know, so almost everybody in my life knew that I overdid it, and everybody was just happy that I was admitting it.
Yep. And hi, Jessica, and you are absolutely 100% not alone. And if you ever want to catch up one day, we can go out and get a cup of coffee and talk, and Mitchell will be there too if you need him as well. And I think there's two last ones. Ready?
Yeah.
What are you doing for your recovery now?
Well, I am, as of late, a lot of self-care, which is really good. Let's see, I'm having healthy relationships with people. I am trying to remain present every day, and in doing so, I can actually experience the day, because I have missed out on so much. But by being present, I can actually be with people. I can listen to what they have to say. I can listen to what I've done to them, and I can try to make an amends with them. You know, most people in my life just want me healthy, and that's what I want too. So being there for people, listening to people, you know, being the son and brother that I should be, the husband that I should be. You know, I'm still on the Vivitrol shot, which is a very good precautionary measure. It's an opioid blocker and alcohol blocker. So that is a backup plan. I'll be on that for another 6 months, so that'll be a total of a year on that. I am about to start going to meetings again, but I'm going to get a home group up here. We've been traveling a lot, and we just kind of got back up here, like 3 days ago, getting settled in. But I'm getting a home group, and I have worked the steps. I just have to do all my amends with a lot of people. I am continually reflecting on my day by journaling. I journal every day, and it's usually at night, and I recap my day. I am remaining in touch with my higher power constantly with either praying or meditating. I'm trying to eat healthy. Connection, staying connected with everybody, serving people, like doing this right here, and just sharing about our path. It helps me tremendously. I know I am very fortunate that it helps you guys, but to be honest with you, it is helping me way more than it's helping anybody else, I feel, because this lets me give back in a little bit of a way, you know, and it really does. It's kind of like a part of my amends, you know. If I can help somebody else, then that's just amazing.
And then, what did I do that helped your recovery become stronger for yourself? And the reason why I asked this one is because him sharing might help out some people that are family and friends of addicts out there that so badly want to help the one that you love, but he can take it from here of what really honestly helped.
I mean, calling me out, making me accountable, in my addiction, I lied, and I would just lie and lie and lie, and like people would just eventually either give up, I think, or believe me, or would think that, you know, somebody else would do it, or I would just say people actually, you got to hold people accountable.
Yeah.
You know, I have to hold myself accountable, but in my life and in my addiction, I didn't care who I hurt. I didn't think about it. It wasn't that I didn't care. Like, I care about people and I cared about the loved ones, but I didn't think about that. I was thinking about drugs and alcohol, getting money to get it, you know, having a job to get money to get it. You know, and unless someone... So if I stole something, you know, I needed people to say, hey, you stole this, I need this back. You know, you got to get this back, you know, or you're not in my life. I don't know how that would have went, you know, before now, but I know, looking back on my addiction, I was craving people to care, I think. You know, I was craving someone to just let me have it and pull me out of this downward spiral, because I couldn't do it myself. I mean, in my addiction, when it was raging, there was no stopping me. I would lie to anybody. I would steal, you know, and I would put on a good front. You know, everybody around me, no one, you know, one that I saw just every once in a while would know, you know. Yeah, I would get mad when I got called out, or I would get mad when someone was really getting towards the root of the problem, but that just means that that person was onto something. You know, I don't know how it would have went, if it would have went any differently than it happened. But Anna holding that boundary and leaving, and that was a boundary for herself.
Yep.
That wasn't a boundary for me.
Nope.
A boundary for me, you know, probably would have looked like, you can't come home if you're drunk or high. You have to take drug tests, and stand firm on that. You know, I was doing that for a while with the company I was working for. You know, I was taking drug tests. When I was clean, I said, I will take drug tests. I will do this. Once I started using, I could manipulate my way right out of that stuff. But, you know, ask your loved one, or whoever is struggling, just say whenever you think that they are clean or not using at that moment, and be like, I don't want you in this house unless you take a drug test. You know, it's because I love you. I care about you. You know, I'm sorry that this is how it has to be, but the person that you love won't mind doing that for you. But the addict is going to say, no, I will not do that. You don't love me. This is messed up. This is, how can you do this to me? You know, like, I'm going to leave and like stuff. You just have to hold firm, because once everybody left me, I was left with me. And that's when I wanted to change.
Yep.
I don't know if I answered it.
No, it did, because I think it did, because the truth is I think I've realized in our situation, our experience, and other people's too, that we're dealing with addicts or addicts themselves that got into recoveries, flat out said it was when people held firm boundaries with them and detached with love, because then it really, you know, they realize and really feel understand the repercussions of their actions. And then that's, in a sense, when the true self person sometimes says enough is enough and wants to go. And the truth is I know there was somewhere today that said, you know, when is enough enough? But the truth is we really, as family and friends of addicts, shouldn't be asking the addict when is enough enough, because they need to come down their own conclusion. What we need to ask ourselves is, when is enough enough for us? And when it's enough for us, you'll get to that point, trust me, and then that is when you will hold a firm boundary and you will do it for yourself finally, because you know you're worth it, and you will detach with love. And then that's when you need to reach out to your support.
And I think another good point is, you know, you have to ask yourself too if the relationship is healthy. So, like, Anna knew that I was a good person. I knew I was a good person. I knew I was deep into an addiction, you know. But you have to ask yourself, if the relationship wasn't good whenever I was clean, then Anna probably wouldn't have been around already. So she was holding on to something that she knew was there.
Yep.
So I think you have to really look at the relationship. So if you're holding in my opinion, if you hold a firm boundary with this person and they say they don't care, and if they're left alone and they don't care and they do choose something else, you just have to be ready to be okay with yourself if that does happen. Because if they're by themselves and they're alone and they just choose to leave, you're better off, because they're choosing that, and that is very hard.
Yep.
That's got to be very hard. But if it's an unhealthy relationship and they get clean and it's unhealthy, you know, you might be looking for a way out after that. You know, I have to say that I'm fortunate enough that me and Anna really do connect on a very, I think, emotional and spiritual level, and I think we always have, and I think that's why we have made
Sarah,
this work. What's up, Sarah? I think that's why we are still so strong, and I want to believe that our higher power had a lot to do with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that we had an inner strength that was coming back to each other. But if I was a bad person just as a clean human being, Anna would have been gone a long time ago.
And I think that's truthfully why a lot of us codependents stay so long with a person we love, is because the truth is they are good. We know deep down that they are good. And that's what kills us, is because we mourn the person when they're alive. We mourn the person even though we know deep down that they're still there. We have to let them go. And that's what kills us. And that's why we want to keep holding on, because we want to hold on to that spark of hope.
And I think if the connection is real, and like the person that you're holding on to that you have to detach from really is your soulmate, and really is this person that can change, like, or this person that once they drop drugs and alcohol are that person again, when they're left alone with just themselves, they're gonna come to. Just like I did. I have to believe that, and I do have faith in that, because when I was left alone with myself, I wanted to be who I used to be, you know, and I wanted to be who I potentially could be. I mean, I've had people that knew me from high school just say, like, when they see me now, I remind them of who I used to be in early high school before even drugs and alcohol, and like, that's so long ago, you know, and that just really makes me happy and proud that I haven't lost everything.
I think too, I don't think it has anything truthfully to do with soulmates. I think it has to do with, because there are people that I think are completely, you know, but addiction flings in between them, and the truth is if that other person doesn't want to take that choice to go, you know, I think that's the truth in it.
Well,
is that because they're still good.
Far gone.
Yeah, they're still good people. They just haven't found the strength in themselves where they want to end it, you know, end addiction yet, and get the help that they need. And we do have more questions, but I know we've been going for like over an hour now. So I think what we'll do is maybe on Sunday, we'll let you guys know. Maybe on Sunday we'll do the questions that were sent in to us, because you guys are absolutely amazing. Really appreciate it. We're getting people from honestly different countries too. So that's honestly really, really neat. But it also shows you, though, guys, there are people reaching out from us from different countries. That shows you how far addiction goes. It's not just in a state. It's not just in a town. It's just not in a country. It is global. Addiction is a global thing that needs to be conquered. And I really do believe the way we conquer this is what we're doing now, which you guys are helping us do now, is that we're sharing our experiences, but by that, you are also sharing your experiences with us. So we're opening this huge connection, and that's why when I always say together, we are recovery, I'm not speaking about just Mitchell and I. Absolutely not. I'm saying together, all of us, we're going to conquer addiction, because we're going to bring it out of the darkness into the light, and we're going to show people that there's still hope in this. And because everyone always said at Alpine, I truthfully believe this, the opposite of addiction is connection.
Yep.
100%. If we keep connecting and we share and we become vulnerable, then people are less scared to share their own stories. But that, I think, is what happens, is people get so nervous with their own stories because they think that they're alone in this. They have shame in this, but the truth is there's so many other people out there that feel the same way you do. There may be different situations, but they feel the way you do, and we just need to come together.
Yeah, and I just want to say that me and Anna have talked about this many times, and I would not change, it's messed up to say, but I would not change any moment of my life because I have not felt this good, and I don't think I ever would have gotten to this point in my life without my addiction, without all the trouble, all the turmoil, all the just bad things with the good have brought us to trying to reach out, telling our story, because who knows what you'd be doing if you changed one thing in your life.
Yep.
And I truly am blessed to still have the people in my life that I do, to have Anna sitting by my side, to have her put in just as much or more, probably more work than I have, because I know I probably wasn't easy to deal with for a long time. But
I didn't mean to laugh. I did.
it wasn't, you know what I mean? But, you know, there are people dying every day on the streets. There's people dying every day that have houses and that are on, doesn't matter what, pharmaceutical, drugs, alcohol, eating disorders, just low self-esteem, suicidal thoughts. There's people dying that are codependents that are just walking around with no purpose because of this disease. So just get vulnerable, talk about it, share this page, share the video, you know, strike up a conversation with someone who looks like they're hurting, or if they don't look like they're hurting, or just say hi to people, give someone a high five.
And thank you, Trina and Scott. I see you there, and we're very happy that you guys support us 100%, because the more people that share this message, and when I say it's not just our message, again, it's everyone's message out there. It's even for the people that still are a little nervous of coming out, and that's absolutely okay, of still staying in the shadows, because it is a nervous subject to talk about. But just know that, you know, we all share the same one together, and we thank you very much, guys, for being our support system, because I can't tell you how amazing it feels. And it's very neat to know that there are people, and I can tell you this now, that are messaging us privately, and they see the support that we have, and that gives them strength and hope and courage to talk to their own family and friends about addiction, or whether it be the family and friends of addicts to go and get help, because they see that it's out there. So you guys are absolutely, truly amazing.
You guys are worth it.
Absolutely.
We love you all. Keep reaching out.
Yep, and we'll let you guys know when the next time we're going live. We know we did it long this time, so if people really do... Oh, now Steven comes on. Steven, we're getting off of here.
What's up, bro?
We love you, though, Steven, so much. And hopefully we'll have Steven on here at one point to do a video with us when he comes and visits us in Massachusetts.
Yes, sir.
But we'll let you guys know when we do the next video. But keep sending in your questions, because they're going to help out a lot of people.
Yeah.
I won't put your name to them if you don't want your name put out there. But these questions are going to help out a lot of people, because I can promise you there are probably thousands of people out there. Thousands of people out there that want that same question answered and are nervous to say it.
Mass is ice cream?
Yeah, is that ice cream? No, it's a
ice cream?
poop emoji. All right, we love you all.
We love you guys.
We'll keep you in contact.
We feel the love.
And just know that you guys are absolutely worth it. And when I do say together we are recovery, it's absolutely true. All of us are going to spread this message. Love you all. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Steven.